Have you ever wondered what life was really like in ancient Egypt? We all know about the pyramids, pharaohs, and mummies, but what about the everyday details, the things history books often leave out? Well, get ready, because today we're diving deep into the surprising, and sometimes strange, realities of daily life along the Nile thousands of years ago. Let's start with something we can all relate to: food and drink. The ancient Egyptian, their diet was pretty diverse, packed with fresh veggies, grains, and fish. Was healthier than you might think. Their staple was bread, so much so that they were nicknamed bread eaters by their neighbors. They baked all sorts of loaves, some sweet with honey and fruit, others for daily meals. And what did they wash it down with? Beer, but not the kind we're used to today. Those were the days. They had their own unique brew back then. It was thick, nutritious, almost like a liquid porridge, and it was a form of payment for laborers, including those who built the Great Pyramids. Imagine getting paid in beer. They also ate a lot of vegetables like onions, garlic, and lettuce, plus fish from the Nile. Meat was such a delicious treat, usually savored by the wealthy or on special occasions. It was like a big deal back then. Now, what about their homes? Most Egyptians lived in houses made of sun-dried mud bricks. These amazing homes were built to keep cool and comfy in that blazing desert heat. They often had flat roofs where families would cook, eat, and even sleep during the hot summer nights. Inside, the furniture was simple: reed mats on the floor, some wooden stools, and maybe a small table. You won't believe this, they actually had a super cool, one-of-a-kind air conditioning system. They would hang wet reeds in the doorways, and as the breeze blew through, the evaporating water would cool the air. Pretty clever, right? When we think of ancient Egypt, we picture grand temples and tombs. But what about personal appearance? Everyone, guys and gals alike, totally took pride in how they looked, right? It was all about that personal style and flair. They were obsessed with cleanliness and bathed daily in the Nile or using water basins at home. Makeup isn't just for women. Guys rock it too, and it's totally cool. The iconic black kohl eyeliner wasn't just for style. They believed it had magical healing properties and helped protect their eyes from the sun, glare, and flies. They also used green eyeshadow made from a mineral called malachite, and hair. Well, long hair was often seen as unhygienic because of the heat and lice. Many people, including the elite, shaved their heads completely and wore elaborate wigs made from human hair or plant fibers. Even beards were often fake. The pharaoh's distinctive long beard was actually a false one, strapped on to signify his divine status. Family life was everything in Egyptian society. It shaped their culture and values. Right. Back in the day, folks tied the knot pretty young, and having kids was seen as such a huge blessing. Interestingly, women in ancient Egypt had a surprisingly high status compared to other ancient cultures. They could totally own property, start their own businesses, and even inherit the throne. How cool is that? We know of several powerful female pharaohs, like Hatshepsut and Cleopatra. While men were the heads of the household, women were the mistresses of the house, managing the home and raising the children. Divorce was also possible. If a couple was unhappy, they could legally separate and remarry. But life wasn't all sunshine and Nile cruises. There were dangers everywhere. The Nile, while a source of life, was also home to crocodiles and hippos, which were incredibly dangerous. Medical care was a mix of practical knowledge and magic. Doctors knew how to set broken bones and perform simple surgeries, but they also relied heavily on spells and amulets to ward off evil spirits they believed caused diseases. And what about their jobs? Most Egyptians were farmers, their lives revolving around the 3 seasons of the Nile: the flood, the planting, and the harvest. Others were craftsmen, scribes, priests, or soldiers. Scribes were highly respected because very few people could read and write the complex hieroglyphic script. It took years of training to master it. Now for a few fun facts that you probably never learned in school. Did you know the ancient Egyptians kept a wide variety of pets? We know about their love for cats, which were considered sacred, but they also had dogs, monkeys, and even crocodiles. They believed animals could be manifestations of the gods. Another surprising fact is their love for board games. The most popular was a game called Sanat, which means passing. It was played on a long board with 30 squares, and pieces were moved according to throws of sticks or knuckle bones. It wasn't just a game. They believed it represented the journey to the afterlife. In fact, boards for Sanat have been found in many tombs, including King Tutankhamun's. And what about their legal system? They had one. Court cases were heard by a council of local elders, and punishments could be severe. For minor crimes, a person might be beaten. For more serious offenses, like tomb robbing, the penalty was often death. They valued order, or mat, which was both the concept of justice and the name of a goddess. Keeping mat was everyone's responsibility, from the pharaoh down to the simplest farmer. They also had a police force. These weren't officers in uniforms like today, but specially designated guards, often elite desert rangers or soldiers, who protected temples, tombs, and trade caravans. They used trained dogs and even monkeys to help them on their patrols. So, let's piece it all together. The life of an ancient Egyptian was a rich tapestry woven with threads of hard work, deep faith, strong family bonds, and a surprising amount of sophistication. They were practical innovators, creating everything from a 365-day calendar to early forms of toothpaste made from crushed rock salt and mint. Their world was filled with color, from their vibrant tomb paintings to their decorated homes and colorful clothing. It was a world where magic and science went hand in hand, and where the journey to the afterlife was just as important as life itself. Far from the stiff, two-dimensional figures we see in carvings, the ancient Egyptians were real people with hopes, fears, and daily routines. They laughed, they loved, they played games, and they worked hard to build a civilization that continues to fascinate us thousands of years later. The next time you see a picture of a pyramid or a golden mask, remember the millions of ordinary people who lived in its shadow, the farmers, the brewers, the wig makers, and the families who called the land of the pharaohs home. Thanks for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope you learned something new and surprising about ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the past. Let me know in the comments what ancient civilization you'd like to explore next. See you in the next video.